So many players out there would like to tell you that the reserve list is headed for extinction. But I'm going to explain to you what I think is really happening. So you think the reserve list is going extinct? Let's be honest. The reserve list, it's not going anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for joining me on my channel today. Big shout out and thank you to everyone watching my videos, giving them a thumbs up, and of course, slamming down that subscribe button, helping the channel get closer to 20,000 subscribers, and the party we'll have when we get there. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell as I upload daily content each and every day for everyone's enjoyment. So the reserve list. Whether you're a fan of the reserve list or hate it, there's no denying that it seems dead right now. Yeah, we have our top 10 video on the weekend of reserve list cards, but that's a very small fraction of what used to go on the reserve list. It just seems dead, like nobody cares. Everyone's moved on to other things, in some cases other entire games. That's what you're being told, that's what we're being fed. It's like, here, look at this, it's dead. Do you want some? And everyone moves on. Hey, look at this, it's not exciting anymore. Do you want some? And nobody wants any. It's kind of a weird thing to look at the reserve list that way. But 2020 brought around that massive surge to the reserve list right when I was kind of getting onto YouTube. And we saw the sales go through the roof. Everything was selling, from Nameless Race, Frankenstein's Monster. We've even had things in 2022 like the City of Shadows go above $200. There's been highs and lows. But those early highs of 2020, that adrenaline rush is kind of hard to beat. Everyone jumping on, everyone just FOMOing in. That fear of missing out and just the insanity that ensued with everyday prices being higher and higher. City of Solitude goes to this price. Peacekeeper goes to this price. Oh my God, you see what happened to Fork and Brain Geyser? The Veteran Bodyguard, Martyrs of Corollas. It all went on. And let's not forget, I got to mention this, Soldevi Excavations, the card of the channel. Hope you own one. Now the excitement's gone. Now that players have given up. Speculators lost their shirts. They lost everything and they've moved on. They're like, can't flip a dollar on this, I'm gone. So what's left? Who's left to pick up the pieces? Well, as the prices drop and as they fall lower and people notice it, there are some people buying reserve list cards. There are some people taking notice. But what I found interesting, recently I was at, a few weeks back, I told you guys I was at a card shop. I was using my Throw Bowl deck up in Huntsville, and I played a couple of people there, and they hadn't seen some of the cards like City of Shadows. They knew there was a reserve list, but they never actually looked at the list. And when you look at the local LGS card shop, the front display cases, there's not a lot of reserve list cards displayed. So if you don't see a lot of reserve list cards, and you don't see a lot of them played in decks for reserve list cards, a lot of new players don't really know what's on the reserve list and have never bothered to look them up, probably for fear of thinking they're too expensive, is what the person kind of mentioned to me there. But there are sales going on. It's just from the people who know about it and are kind of keeping it low. They're like not saying anything. They don't want to draw a lot of attention because they're enjoying the lower prices. If you wanted to get yourself your Peacekeeper, you didn't want to pay $60-70 and you can get it for like $14, of course you're going to wait. Didgeridoo is at $60 and it was as low as $9.99. TCG Player. And you can't forget all the platforms that we can buy on now. You can buy on TCG Player, Card Kingdom, Card Market. You can go to eBay, Facebook, individual groups, some protected, some not. There's so many ways of buying cards, including local LGSs, and everything's just spread out. So when you hear about videos like Rudy put out, buying the Carnival of Souls, or his previous videos like the Feldegriff, sorry, I was going to say Hippogriff, but yeah, Feldegriff. Channels like mine, Soldevi Excavations, things like that. When you look at this stuff and you see those people consolidating positions, they consolidate because it's low, because it's cheap. Yeah, make a video, draw a little bit of attention to the small group of players who's already watching your videos. How many views is a video like this going to get? By now, you're like 4 minutes in. Most people aren't even watching right now. They've already moved on. They didn't hear what they wanted to hear, and they've gone on to something else. But right now on the market, because nobody cares, and because the prices have fallen, and people sold collections, and the market has not been this flush with this many cards, other than dual lands, by the way. I'm going to exclude dual lands from the conversation because they're still really low stock overall. They're very few and far between coming onto the market. People still need those, so they're really being bought up. And of course, high-end Power 9 style cards, they didn't really drop a lot in price, but everything else, it's pretty affordable. Even collector edition cards have really come down in price. A lot of that from the 30th anniversary debacle, right? Wizards tried to tap into that revenue source once again, and they had a meltdown of players. Remember, we slapped them with our wallets. Players walked away, players quit. And that's what's led to where we are now. And without that spark, this is what I think is happening. Without the spark of some event, okay, like Mind Over Matter, that reserve list card, it spiked because there was a use for it again. We need some kind of use, some kind of spark, some kind of FOMO event to get players caught into the reserve list and buying again. But most of us don't want that to happen. I like the prices being cheaper, so I can continue to buy within my budget, which I set aside every month, but now I've just been able to buy more. It's like when the stock market goes down, okay? When it goes down like this, in these tough times, and cash is not trash, you can buy more of it, right? Because it's kind of on sale. Let's say Bank of Nova Scotia used to be $95 per share, paying about a 5% dividend. But now you can get it for like $65, $66. That's like a 30% discount. Do you not buy it because it's on sale? Of course you do. And you don't want to draw too much attention to it. So you kind of buy it regularly. You buy it quietly. So if the price does start to tick up, you've kind of incremented yourself in as it went up. You've consolidated a position in something, right? Making your position more solid and stable. And that's what people do, except for now with the speculators being gone, you have people just enjoying the cards and saying, hey, I want to get 4 Didgeridoo. I want to get 4 Righteous War, 4 City of Solitude. I'd like to get 4 Metalworker. It's like the cost of a collector box, right? It's kind of crazy to think that a Volrosh Stronghold, right, which is used to be like $150, now it's like what, 60, 70 lightly played. You can buy a Volrosh Stronghold. You can buy a Tolarian Academy. All these things cost less than a booster box now. That's what a lot of people don't take into account. And this is why the reserve list being ignored to your detriment is Wizards of the Coast realized after the 30th anniversary. And they probably, they kind of hummed and hawed, but they've been increasing their prices, right? They've been raising their price points up. Well, they can say whatever they want to why they raise their prices. They can say it's all kinds of distribution problems and fuel shipping costs and storage fees. But let's face it, if you can't tap into the revenue source that's the reserve list, what do? You raise the fees on everything else to make up that lost revenue which you can never tap into, that equity you can never touch. Because of what just happened, you have to stay away now. And because of that, the inflation effect is going to take hold on the reserve list. When I can look and get a Ragavan for the same cost as, almost a metal worker that's like heavily played, moderately played, the fact you could buy a collector box instead get a dual land, and the dual land will hold a certain value where all those collector box cards are getting reprinted. They are. Just look at the Lord of the Rings box toppers. Look at Cabal Coffers already coming back. We just had it in Modern Horizons 2, and it's back again. Right? The Great Henge, it's back. All these cards are back because Wizards reprints everything. They're tapping into their IP equity. Totally understandable. But the more they do that, the more they jack up their prices, the more the pricing of the reserve list really looks attractive at this level. So when players don't know about the reserve list, when players don't think about the reserve list, and when players think the reserve list is too expensive, they stay away. They don't even look because they're Timmies. Like, reserve list cards are too expensive. I remember an email I got from somebody showing me their deck list for a commander deck. I said, why don't you have a Righteous War in there? You got this and this and this, but Righteous War is easier to cast in this multicolored deck. And he goes, I didn't even know that card existed. It's a $9 card. That's what players don't know about now. And you're happy to help people out and give them ideas, but at the same time, I'm glad it stays this cheap. I'm glad it stays this affordable for me, the player, and the collector to tap into. Because I'll be honest, some of the cards were getting too expensive for me. I don't have that kind of budget. I'm not a rich guy. So when the cards dip low like they are now, it's a very attractive endeavor to go pick up cards for the channel, pick them up for the Patreon box, pick up cards for my own personal collection. Arabian Nights cards have come down so much, I can actually afford to buy some of them now. The idea of finishing my Arabian Nights collection is blowing my mind. Yes, the most expensive cards are still out there, and I don't have them yet. But you work on them. You look for deals, you look for sales, because right now nobody's buying them. It has a 5 million card print run. That's probably not even as much as I get at my local store nowadays. Crazy stuff, guys. And I just think the more people choose to ignore it, the better it is for those of us who collect it and want to own it. We don't want the speculators back. There's lots of stock out there for people who want to buy it cheap. You can't please everyone, but right now, most cards are almost back down to 2019 pricing. You guys know I follow the market very closely. We're pretty close on a lot of these cards, except for the high-end stuff, like, you know, we're looking at like Power 9 stuff, Time Twister, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're not where they used to be, but still, it's still really at a really attractive level for many of these cards. Even booster packs, old booster packs, when you looked at like Legends, that used to be like $2,000 a pack, are back down to like $900. Antiquities packs are back down to around like $800-900. We're getting there. We're getting to that point where it's like, and you're going to catch the eye of someone. And then if FOMO comes around, if another spark event happens and everything shoots up, which I still think can happen, no doubt in my mind, we could have another event. And that means every time I buy each month, every time somebody else buys, and you consolidate little positions in different cards, if one of those cards spikes up, if one of those cards goes to the moon, think about when we had the Sliver decks announced for Commander Masters. The Sliver decks being created. Sliver Queen went right up. It was down to $200 for a while. I remember telling people, hey, pay attention to this card in my Card Watch video. This thing's too cheap. And look where it is now. I should have taken my own advice and bought a couple of copies. I didn't know the Commander Masters was going to reissue that card, but I should have known better, because chances are if it's too cheap, you should be buying it if you can afford to do so. And most people never will. They won't take the risk. They don't think it's going to happen. And by the time they realize it, it's too late. It already went by. That's why I always buy a little bit. Stay in budget. Never hurt friends or family. Always use cash you have on hand that you've saved up for something. Don't have enough? Put $5 aside. Whenever you can. Build up a little nest egg. Like in Debt Do Us Part and stuff. Just build up a little bit and then take it out at the end of like 2-3 months. See how much you have. Go buy a card you wanted to get. I mean, there's a reason I put out those Card Watch videos and have a few reserve list cards on there, because some of them are just too cheap, too good to pass up on from their previous highs. And even where they were around the, just before 2020, when people really started realizing how good some of these cards could be. Remember, when you look at any older card, you're going to notice the casting costs and the abilities of the cards are just a little bit skewed to a more powerful level. Something like Righteous War, only one white, not like Wrath of God that has two. There's just card mixes like that happen all the time on the reserve list. Cards like Null Rod. Little things that you don't notice, Griffin Canyon, Winding Canyons, Volrosh Stronghold, even the things like Lake of the Dead. The mana base is the first thing I pay attention to, and it's the first types of cards I buy into and make sure I get a play set of 4 of all the ones I want. After that, it's gravy. I put them into a separate binder. Interesting stuff. Anyway, thanks a lot for hanging out. Can't wait to see comments on this. I know it won't be a massively viewed video, but at the same time, I think for those of us who care about this stuff and kind of want to know what's going on, this is important stuff to keep on top of. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And of course, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. I got like a lot of yard work to do. As you guys know, I'm off this week. I'm exhausted, but I'm still plugging away. We're going to get this done. I'm gonna finish. You'll see. You'll see. Oh yeah, here we are at the end of the video! And this is where I get to say thank you again to all the fantastic patrons of my channel. Without their continued support, daily uploaded content like this would not be possible, so thanks again to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Welcome back, guys. Ramble Jamble section. If you make it to the end of the video, put Balrog in the comment section, because I'm kind of curious about why the Balrog sucks, but Shelob is good. It's okay, you guys saw today's video. I find it interesting that I've been, just struggling to clean that backyard. I am sore in places I didn't know could be sore anymore at my age. weird parts of the back of my leg are killing me from bending over and lifting and pulling and raking up, earth and stuff. And I'm just exhausted, but I'm still plugging away. If you follow my Instagram stuff, you'll know. You'll see a photo I put up the first day where I just started clearing, and I'll probably put some photos up tomorrow to where I am now. It's exhausting. And by the way, no, I still haven't found the pin from that live stream. It's driving me insane. I looked around, but I haven't found it yet. Anyway, so yeah, put Balrog in the comments section. We'll see how we get this stuff all going. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have an awesome day, guys. Party on.